And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Space Engineers, Road to 10,000 Hours, Episode 20, Part 2, and I'm your host, Marduk the Gamer. Alright, when we ended last episode, it was on the horns of a dilemma. Bit of a conundrum. How in the world was I going to be able to do anything if I no longer had my jetpack, my hydrogen bottle, to take me from point A to B? Because I don't really have a tow system. I would be at one location, hop over to the other vehicle, and then drive it to wherever I needed it. But now, without a hydrogen bottle, my range, my duration of flight is extremely limited. So I'm going to have to solve that. And the only way to do that is by making a new vehicle. That's right. I'm going to need something that can get me between vehicles very quickly, but also something that I could, say, attach to the roof or hitch to the side of any truck or Jeep, or even the mobile refinery. So I need something small, something lightweight, something that could sort of get out of its own way, but it would need to be powerful enough to move itself, and I would want something that's going to have less sort of interaction with the ground. So maybe I need a flying vehicle. What I don't want is a flying vehicle on the level of, let's say, the pod I started out with, that survivor's pod that I attached atmospheric thrusters to. I'm not looking for something that can carry a cargo. I'm just looking for something that can do a quick passenger job. And if the only cargo space I need is me, well, that just limited the essentially the objects I need on this vehicle. You know? If it's just going to carry me, then maybe I should go with the old Marty McFly. Yeah. Let's build a hoverboard. So, to have like a movie accurate hoverboard, that would be sort of a very obtuse design. One, because the battery packs are all 1x1 blocks. If either a modder or Keen had a small block, half block battery, then I could do this whole surfboard. Then I could have the half block batteries. It would be interesting, at least for some designs, to have a lot of like half block, or I guess it's slab, to have a slab block version of the different things. So a slab gyroscope or a slab battery, because we just got these nice new slab size thrusters that have, I believe they have less power. I should probably look that up at some point. But that's what impression I got when I was watching I believe it was Kanajashi's sort of going over the new blocks, is that they seem to have less power. Now, if I had all those things, I could make this a very thin vehicle, and then it would replicate that kind of design. But it would be very hard to control, because I would build it so that I only had the lifting thrust, and then everything else would be based upon me orienting the vehicle to slow down or bank. It would be very much like how the pod was in the earliest episodes, when I didn't have enough thrusters in different directions to have full control. But since I want this to be this version, the version I'm building, that's not movie accurate, I want to have control I want to have control in pretty much all directions. I believe I'm looking to build 5 out of 6 directions. I don't have a downward control. I can just hit the C button and it'll reduce the lifting thrust and bring the vehicle down. But along the way of building this, I'm going through various issues of not having the components on hand. So I'm more and more since the end of last episode and in through this episode, I'm discovering that my original idea of like bringing the mobile refinery to the garage and having that be my power system is just not practical at all. It's just not going to work. What I need to do is have the mobile refinery out there in the field generating components and generating iron, and then I just use the bore pug and ship out components as necessary. Now I've got a few boulders planned out. Oh yeah, this is great. I get attacked by more of the cyber dogs, and they just kind of sit there, and then eventually, see, they stop moving. They're actually stuck in the wheel. So that allows me to get out. Now, while they were getting stuck in the wheel, I was like, all right, I'll build a new gun. And I realized the small block printers don't actually build guns. Yay. So I'm out. I don't have a weapon for the foreseeable future, and that's gonna be glorious. But back to what I was saying before about the mobile refinery. I want the mobile refinery out in the field, doing its job, fulfilling its purpose, and then I can just take the bore pug between the mobile refinery and the garage, at least during the interim, until I have an actual cargo vessel that can hook up with it and do big jobs. This the trailer hitch. I did some looking around on the workshop at people's trailer hitch designs, and I realized mine is below noob status. It's like, oh, you want to build a trailer hitch and you've never built one before, here you go. It doesn't fulfill the design parameters very well, but what it does do is it does serve as a good base for a vehicle. So once I get this hoverboard, I can go back to the trade station, I can pick up the Thunder, and then I can hitch the Thunder to my trailer and turn it into an actual vehicle that then I can ship out to the Steel Valley and begin construction there, and then I'll move the mobile refinery to new boulders and get it cooking. This, I don't know where this damage came from. It was a strange thing. It wasn't one of the cyber dogs. I know they're supposed to be called wolves, but I've just got this. I just remember this episode of Sliders where there were these cyborg wolves chasing them through a sort of like gladiatorial. It was like a gladiatorial rat race. So it was like Running Man, but there was like an actual reward at the end of it, instead of in Running Man when there's just no reward. You either become a new hunter or they just kill you. But in this Sliders episode, Sliders was such a good show, but that's neither here nor there. We're supposed to be finishing up this hoverboard so I can go over and get Thunder. So I'm not too... I like it. I like what I've built here. I'm going to put this... I'm going to put that slim tip on the sides here, going towards the magnetic plate. Yeah, and then I kind of branch it out here. I go ahead and put another thruster so that I actually have 3 thrusters. But as I ride the vehicle, I realize that I don't need 3 thrusters. I can do the job with 2. And in fact, because I only have 4 batteries, it's actually better for power efficiency to not have 3 atmospheric thrusters at the bottom. Yeah. But yeah, it's just it does look pretty cool. It looks cool to me. I don't know if it looks cool to you. I hope you guys like it, but I think it looks pretty cool. And I'm gonna get this. I'm not gonna leave it steel gray. No, that's not gonna happen. We're gonna paint this guy. Yeah. Especially because since I paid for the new DLCs, I feel like I should use some of those new armors that they just put up there. Not new armors, new skins. I gotta remember to use the words that people know, not just the words that are running around in my head all the time. You know what I'm saying? So coming out of the gate, I'm thinking I want this to look kind of plasticky. So plastic armor, all blue, and it looks it looks really childish. So I'm like, okay, I'll throw some red on it. Now it looks like discount Spider-Man. Yeah, that's not gonna work. And I'm like, okay. So discount Spider-Man. Let's put some black accent. Now it just looks. Now it looks absurd. Now it looks like it looks like a bruise. You know how sometimes you get bruises where you get some red left in the skin and there's some blue underneath and then you get the black edges. Yeah, it just looks terrible. So I'm like, all right, screw it, weldless. Let's get some red, and then we'll do some black plastic accents. Yeah. We'll just give it the tip, just a little bit, not too much, and we'll use it to kind of cover some of the breaks that the half slab or that the slab thrusters sort of generate. Now, looking at this, and especially as my hydrogen gives out, this vehicle has a pretty glaring design flaw. It's glaring to me. No remote control and no antenna. So if I get lost, if I fall off this thing and die, and there's no survival kit nearby, if the body signal goes away, I will technically lose where the hoverboard is. So I am concerned about that design flaw, but I don't have a solution because they're just too heavy and there are too many blocks, and I want this to be rather small and not take up a huge amount of space, which is why I really like that sort of idea I threw out there. What if I could get the small block, it's not components, the small block machine list as like slabs? Wouldn't that be cool? Because then I could have a lot more. I could have it so that they're actually built into the walls of this design, like a remote control and a radio and, the whole 9 yards. But that would screw up, I'm sure that would screw up the balance or difficulty aspect of the game in some way, and somebody would be upset. Alright, back at the charging station. Gonna go ahead and I hooked up the hoverboard for a little while. Try to get it up to about half charge. Yeah, just not that I need it, but I wanted to have some charge just in case I needed to fly anywhere. I didn't want it stuck at like 10%. So I just stick it on the roof of the Thunder, because I'm going to take Thunder back to the mobile refinery and connect it to my quote-unquote trailer hitch. But as I'm getting ready to leave, I notice a sort of graphical hitch. Something about the hoverboard, and I think it's the surfboard block, actually prevents me from putting that third-person camera right behind the vehicle. So what I have to do, I try to do this with the the ejector block, and then it doesn't sit very well. So I go ahead and strip the sheet metal from the side of the Thunder, because I'm basically getting rid of this part of the vehicle, so it doesn't bother me. So I'm going to go ahead and create sort of a little platform here on the side where it can actually sit. It's going to be off whatchamacallit. It's going to be off the center of mass. It's going to be off axis. But you know, if I just drive carefully, you know, it's me. It's me. If I just drive carefully, then everything should be fine, right? Alright. Okay, you can say it. You doubted me. You doubted that I would make it here in one piece after after my abysmal driving for the last couple episodes. But no, I made it back here. I didn't break the hoverboard. Everything is peachy for the most part. But now I've got to try to combine these two vehicles. And that is sort of a question of how to do it. Because, you know, part of me is like, well, I want to keep the Thunder. Because, well, I want to keep the Thunder. You know, I built it. But the other part of me is like, you know, the Thunder was a cool design at the beginning, but it's sort of it's kind of reached the end of its life. So perhaps I should just go ahead and strip it down pretty far so that I can just make it I can literally just make it the tractor head of this new vehicle. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. I'm just going to go ahead and take out the cargo block, put all of the I I've been using it to basically store excess mined ore so then I can sell it at the trade station. I'm not utilizing this vehicle to its full potential, and I think that means that it's time for it to go. But first, it's going to perform this most vital mission and move all of this material to the Steel Valley so that I can begin the real work of the garage. All right. This is me going back and forth, visually going back and forth about this, but me, the editor, is like, no, the decision was made. Let's do it. First thing, gotta get rid of the toe part, because I'm gonna go ahead and connect that conveyor tube to this conveyor converter on the trailer. So first, the first plan I have about doing it is I just rip out the bumper. Well, I lay down the conveyor converter and then I rip out the bumper. And I'm thinking, okay, this should work pretty well. I get my small merge blocks down. The small merge blocks will actually, they first connect to each other, and then if there are any available points of connection, it'll try to connect those. And if there's something interfering, like if the wheels on the back of the Thunder are in the way, then it won't actually connect. I think in earlier designs that was not so. It would try to connect and then it would clang out. I have various memories of merge block horrors going wrong, but they're a little bit vague, because I'm just like, yeah, I don't really want to remember how awful that went down. Oh man, what was that? I remember the one that stays with me because it was both the worst, and I basically stopped playing Space Engineers for like 6 months after that one, is where I had the rotor incident. Like, I was working on a vehicle, but I didn't have much space, and so it ended up slipping down a large hill. And once it fell down the hill, there was something about however many rotors I had attached to it that it became like a perpetual motion engine. And so this vehicle just started cartwheeling across the map, like cartwheeling, like for real, across the planet. And I was on somebody's server, and we both looked at it and we're like, if we just let it go, it's gonna run into the mine that we had been working on for like a couple of weeks at this point, because we were trying to do, that was somebody who was very much into the hardcore, let's try to be realistic space engineers. And me, I'm a little, I like it, but at the same time I'm like, let's have priority one is fun, not realism. So we both noticed that this cartwheeling vehicle was on a direct line for the mine, and so he had to shut down the server and reset everything. And I was just like, bro, I'm kind of, that got me. That really burned me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna head off for a couple of days or weeks. Yeah. And I just didn't go back. I was just so, I wasn't embarrassed. I was more frustrated by just how something that seemed so mechanically simple as like a crane was actually this massive undertaking. But that's something, how to describe it, that's something about space engineers and games and life in general, is that it's never easy, and things that your imagination say should be straightforward, the real world is gonna take it's gonna take a nice aluminum baseball bat right to the knees of it. And so you kind of have to build a sense of, this is going to fail. This is not going to work. I'm going to have to redesign this 2 or 3 times. And just keep on chugging. It doesn't always make for the most interesting YouTube content. I think YouTube content is reaching that point of where, to even get in, you have to have like a super polished video. And then if you go back and watch, if you were there when PewDiePie was on his ascension, it was just, he would clap 3 times for an intro, and that was it. Hello, meme review. That's all there was to it. And so, maybe this is my weird attempt to bring that back, and maybe this is just me having fun. I don't know. I'm having fun, so I guess that's what counts. But I take a little side mission, go pick up an unknown signal. For a while there, I wasn't getting unknown signals, and I think that major update that I blamed for my boulder incidents, maybe 2-3 episodes ago, it seemed to have reset or fixed the unknown signal issue. So now I get unknown signals showing up all the time, which is pretty cool. It's a nice way to get some easy resources especially when you're like, oh man, I could use a motor or two. And it's like, oh hey, here you go. All right, now I'm going to attach these things. And you and editor me, we can both see the beginnings of a problem. So I put that merge block right there on the Thunder, and then I go ahead and I put the merge block on the trailer. Yeah, you see the problem? Do you? Come on, be honest. Do you see it? All right. Well, how about do you see it now? The whole idea was to have the conveyor converter attach to that conveyor tube in between the hydrogen tanks. And then I look at it and go, oh yeah, that didn't connect. So I let it go, but that disconnects the trailer from the parking brake that I had on the Thunder. So it started rolling back. Thankfully, this area is a little bit flatter than some of the areas I worked, so it ended up not being much of a problem. Okay, now see, there you go. Merge block in the middle so that the bottoms actually connect. Yeah. This is the part where I should admit that I didn't play Tetris. I played Dr. Mario. Yeah, I wasn't very good at it. I think my mother was beating me in Dr. Mario. My mother and my sister. Yeah, I don't think my brother and I ever played Dr. Mario. Yeah, it was his Nintendo console, but man, I think that was I don't think that was the Super Nintendo. I think that was the one right before it. But I'm not well versed in the names of different consoles. I just remember, oh yeah, I had to stick those gray cartridges, in the front slot, and if you didn't blow out the dust, it may not work. And then you had the genie cheat thing that you would stick on it as well. That was pretty fun. But yeah. Okay, so connected up the Thunder real well, and then I just replicate the tire design that I have from the trailer. Not a lot of big differences. Not a lot of really intriguing design thought process. Just like, if this worked before, well, it's going to work again now. I guess the major thing that's going on here is that I'm learning firsthand that my reliance on the hydrogen bottle is definitely overdone. I definitely relied way too heavily on it. And now that it's gone, I'm like, I keep on having to go back and get more over and over and over again. But eventually, I do get the Thunder hooked up to the trailer, and then it's just lugging this over to the Steel Valley. There's just one problem, one teensy tiny problem. You can see it there in the bottom right where it says the weight. Yeah, this thing weighs 170 megagrams, or 170,000 kilograms. That's the weight of the, I think at this point I have maybe 5,000 or 6,000 steel plates sitting in the inventory. And then I have I have my hoverboard with I think at this point I have seven slab atmospheric thrusters, each with a metal grid. And then I got all the cargo boxes and batteries. This sucker is heavy. And so I realized taking my normal route across the sort of steep hills and ravines of the Twin Peaks is just not a good idea. So I have to come out here to the lowlands, sort of where the Steel Valley begins, and then just sort of take it easy till I hit sort of a plateau, and then I can take off. And being me, I'm like, let's go fast. Must go fast. So 40 meters a second, 45 meters a second. I'm just rocketing through this entire area. All right. But it did. The good news is I get to the garage in one piece. Now I haven't named the garage, and the garage isn't even complete. I'm pretty sure I haven't named the garage. So I'm going to go ahead and see if anybody wants to throw down a comment and name the garage. It's probably going to be a couple of days before I finish the garage. I might be able to finish it this weekend, maybe. I'll see what happens. And then, but I probably won't have a video for it for another... Yeah, I probably won't have it finished video-wise until after next week. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I get a decent amount done over the next couple episodes. I'm up to about 22 in shooting, having shot video for. But I'm currently, editing episode 20, part 2, right here. So again, I'm noticing issues with this hoverboard design having the 3 lifting thrusters. It is really, if I'm moving forward, so I've got my middle finger on the W for acceleration, and I tap my thumb on the space bar for lift, it overpowers the batteries. The pull, the strain on the batteries is just too much. So I kind of figure that, all right, fine. Instead of doing that, I can just articulate the gyroscope up, which means I guess I'm pulling back on the vehicle so that it rises. And if I do it like that, I tend to not have so much power overload. But yeah, here we go. All right. I park it on there. And then I decide to name it. And of course, I go with Greek. I go with Hermes. Just sort of the messenger. Since it doesn't really deliver, it doesn't really hold any cargo. But now I'm going to go ahead and take the mobile refinery down to its new Boulder location and try not to dry the boar pug off the hill and into a ditch. Yeah, the chunky beetle is only 75,000 kilograms, so that's less than half of what I was rocking for that trailer hitch design. And I've also got 4 atmospheric thrusters on here that can give me a pretty decent boost to speed if I need to go up or down hills. It's a bad idea going down hills, but I just kind of roll with it. I'm also having, as you can tell, maybe you've picked up on it, I'm having that graphical hitch where the camera doesn't want to pan behind the surfboard block. So eventually I just have to go first person and drive across the edge of the Twin Peaks and into the Steel Valley while in first person. And let me tell you, this is a little bit sketch. Because it looks like I'm about to go into the ground before I just sort of sharply rise. It's like a roller coaster. And we're going down. No, we're going up. Going down? Oh, we're still alive. Okay. And then we finally hit that plateau that is the start of the Steel Valley. And I can go ahead and just let it rip. Now, I think I must have the wheels at a lower velocity. I'm only doing about 25. But here we go. This area actually has a couple of iron boulders. So the good news is that I'm not going to need to build a cargo vessel anytime soon because the board pug will be able to relay pretty quickly, as well as the hoverboard if I need like 5 motors or something. And it's at this point that I'm like, okay, time for a bit of a design upgrade. I'm going to go ahead and lift her up and pull out that atmospheric thruster. And look, it doesn't fall out of the sky. Perfect. But I also want to charge it off of the mobile refinery. So, because there's no other way to charge it on here. And I skipped through a lot of... I actually had to mine for quite a bit. So I skipped through all that to just get here. I have a little rotor, and then I have an attach set up to that button. So I can just hover the Hermes over the rotor, hit the button, and it'll connect right up. Pretty easy. I love this design. I guess it fulfills that sort of childhood fantasy of having the hoverboard. I've got my own version. I mean, you look at if you check out some of the tech demos on YouTube, you see that an actual hoverboard design is not that far off. Now, it's not going to be the super magnets that levitate you off the ground, but combine it with some of those jetpack designs, you might be able to actually fly. Yeah, those things are sketch looking. They're so sketch. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen them, but maybe you have. They've got the van braces with the twin turbines sticking out of them, and then it's got another turbine on the back. And it's just like, oh yeah, you get your main lift from the backpack, and then you have these van braces that allow you to sort of move around. Oh, it looks so sketch. All right, I basically pull everything that's a component out of the Chunky Beetle, and then I head over to the garage. Nice short little hop, skip, and a jump. We're already here. Oh, of course, mentally I detour because I'm like, ooh, unknown signal. And I hit the jackpot. It's one of the ones with thrusters, which is really cool. Those are my favorite ones because they have a metal grid on them, and it's a thruster, so it has a whole bunch of motors, and motors take a while to make. So it's really cool. I really like those. And then it has an additional 12 motors in it, so that's even better. Now, radio components, I'm not too impressed by those, but I will need them as eventually we start branching out into multiple buildings and multiple locations. I'm really going to need it once I get an airfield, because I do want to have like a whole mining town back in that original area from, gosh, that must have been episode 1 or 2, where there was just a deposit, a new material deposit every like 100 yards. It was great. Okay. Now, the only problem about where the garage is situated is that I'm going to be in this sort of lightless region for a good portion. I'm going to lose out on several hours of light because of where I'm situated. But that's all right. I'm not too worried about it because once I get the garage to have its own internal lights, it won't matter because I'll be able to see what I'm doing anyways. And then, as I talked about earlier, I was maybe 2 episodes ago, I was not pleased with the design I had originally set up for the garage. This sort of fuller that I had just sort of ground into the foundation of the garage. I wasn't pleased with it. So instead, I do this sort of ramping into a slab. It's not great, but I think it does good enough. It gives it kind of a fortress feel, which is okay. And then because of that 45 degree block, it has these sort of sticking out where I'm going to have the corners of the building. Now, there's a bit of a cut here. I threw out the entire workshop, meaning I just cut the whole thing down. I didn't like it. It wasn't good enough, so I got rid of it. And then I'm still hooked on needing to have hydrogen. So I go on this entire side quest. I cut it. It was probably an hour or more of me mining and getting metal grids so that I could build off the back of the this trailer thunder chimera. My thought is that if I use the same type of cockpit from the mobile refinery, I would then have access to the hydrogen tanks on the Thunder. A little bit of a problem. I don't realize how little hydrogen there is in those tanks. So this whole plan becomes moot very quickly. After that, it's time to connect the Chimera and make it sort of the battery pack for the whole garage. That way I can charge my the Hermes, the little hoverboard, and then go from place to place. But as I hop on Hermes to go charge it, I'm like, ooh, there's another unknown signal. I better go get it. Piece of candy. Piece of candy. Unknown signal. Unknown signal. I'm like a squirrel, man. All right. And then I get the bright idea. Ooh, it's rolling down the mountain. Oh, I got a landing pad or a magnetic plate. Let's try to grab it. Okay, now let's fly. Whoop. I completely bury my head in the sand. Eventually, I just let go of the unknown signal and then try to flip this thing. The good news, it is a small, very small vehicle. So overriding the controls and doing a roll is really, it's really easy. It's a little bit scary, a little bit heart-wrenching, because I don't know how well it's going to work. But, see, yeah, I recovered. Hey, nothing, no big damages, right? No big damages. Only a slight crash into the ground, but who's counting? Now I gotta lug the unknown signal. All right, come on. The good news is that those half slab thrusters are actually, they're pretty good. I'm at almost 5,000 kilograms, and I'm flying. Not flying well. Everything is twisting all around because the center of mass is all over the place. But you know, I'm actually making it. Okay, let's not crash. All right, drop the pod. There we go. Man, past me is a ridiculous person. I'm a ridiculous person. Okay, but look at this. I got a whole bunch of credits. And finally, a grinder upgrade. Oh my gosh. What a win. And what a way to end the episode. Thank you everybody for coming around to episode 20 part 2. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, give me a name for the garage. And I will catch you all next time. Cheers.